My phone buzzes with a message from Megan, my college roommate from 8 years ago. We haven't spoken in months, but her text makes my heart stop. Olivia, I just saw your charity page about your disabled daughter. I had no idea. Why didn't you ever tell me you had a child? My coffee mug slips from my hand and crashes to the kitchen floor. Hot coffee splashes over my ankles, but I barely feel it. My hands shake so badly I can hardly keep hold of my phone, let alone type a reply. A disabled daughter? I don't have children. I never have. I drop into a kitchen chair, chest tightening like something heavy is pressing down on me. I take 3 slow breaths before focusing on the link Megan included in her next message. The page opens. My profile picture smiles back, the same professional headshot from my LinkedIn, taken last spring, but the text beside it introduces me as Olivia Hill, proud mother of Sophia, age 6, born with a rare spinal condition requiring ongoing medical care. Black dots swim in my vision as I scroll through the posts. Updates about surgeries, therapy sessions, and medical fundraisers, all for a child who doesn't exist. Then I see the donation section. The bank account number listed is one I know well. It's the family emergency fund my mother opened when I was in high school, the same account I've been contributing to every month, thinking I was helping with real emergencies. Just last month, I sent $350 for Rebecca's root canal. Before that, $600 for my mother's car repair. This can't be real, I whisper into the empty apartment, but the evidence on my screen leaves no room for doubt. How long has this been happening? Who thinks I abandoned a disabled child? How many people have fallen for this scam using my name? A memory flashes through my mind. I'm 7 years old, sitting beside my mother on our worn-out couch. She holds my hand and says softly, "Family always protects family. No matter what happens, Livy, we stay together." That memory crashes into the present. Fake blog posts describing my daughter's recovery and emotional appeals for donations. Posts dating back nearly 2 years. I rush to the bathroom and barely reach the sink before I'm sick. After rinsing my mouth, I stare into the mirror. Pale face, wide eyes. A woman about to break. Not today. Not again, I whisper. With trembling hands, I call Megan back. "I need you to tell me everything you know about this," I say quietly. "When did you find that page? Did you donate? Has anyone else mentioned it to you?" As Megan explains that she found it through a mutual friend's Facebook share, I grab my laptop and start taking screenshots. Donation histories showing thousands of dollars. Fabricated medical stories. Altered photos of me holding a small child, who, on closer look, seems to be my niece Madison, or perhaps Rebecca's friend's daughter. Tears blur my sight, but I keep going, documenting each detail carefully. File names, dates, URLs, everything. Olivia Megan's tone is firm after I explain the situation. This is identity theft. These are federal offenses. You need to protect yourself first. But they're my family, I insist weakly, even as I continue collecting evidence. Family doesn't steal your identity to scam people, Megan replies. You need a lawyer, maybe even the police. My phone lights up with an incoming call. My mother's smiling face appears on the screen, the usual Tuesday check-in, but this time it feels unsettling instead of comforting. For the first time in my adult life, I let the call go to voicemail. That small act of defiance sends a chill through me. This isn't about money anymore. My reputation, my relationships, my entire identity, all have been turned into weapons against me by the people who should have protected me most. Later that afternoon at work, I sit blankly in the break room, staring at my computer screen. Jessica from accounting drops into the chair across from me. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she says, adjusting her glasses. "Everything okay?" I've chatted with Jessica for 3 years, but our conversations have never gone beyond polite small talk. Something in her steady gaze breaks my silence. I give in to the urge to share the truth. "Someone set up a charity fundraiser using my identity," I say, showing her my phone. "It claims I have a disabled child who needs costly medical treatments." Jessica's eyes widen as she scrolls. "This is detailed. Who would do something like this?" "My mother and sister," I whisper, my throat burning. "That's their bank account information. I don't even have a child. This is all my mother's doing." Instead of awkward sympathy, Jessica's face hardens with focus. "We should document this before they take it down," she says, pulling out her phone. "I used to work in cybersecurity before accounting. I can help you capture all of it properly so they can't deny it later." A different kind of pressure fills my chest. Not betrayal this time, but relief. You believe me? Just like that? I ask. Jessica looks up briefly. My cousin went through something similar with his ex-wife. Family can hurt you the most, she says simply. But you're not alone in this. I nod, feeling new resolve strengthen within me. I trusted them with everything. Now I need to see how deep this really goes. The sting of betrayal still hurts, but beneath it, determination begins to grow, a need to reclaim what they stole. My heart races as Jessica types rapidly. We've taken over a corner conference room, telling coworkers we're working on a special compliance project. In a way, that's true. Look at this, Jessica says, turning her laptop toward me. I found archived versions of the fundraiser dating back almost 2 years. I grip the table, steadying myself as I stare at the screen. The oldest version shows my LinkedIn photo next to a grainy picture of a newborn in an incubator. The caption reads, Olivia and Sophia, day 1 of our journey together. That's not... My voice breaks. I've never even been inside a hospital nursery, Jessica nods grimly. They've been running this for at least 23 months, and it gets worse. She clicks through a series of saved pages, each showing increasingly elaborate campaigns, emergency surgeries, wheelchairs, therapy sessions. Every update uses medical language, specific enough to sound authentic but vague enough to avoid checking. These are forged medical documents, Jessica says quietly, pointing to fake hospital letterheads. The doctor's signatures appear completely authentic, but the dates match precisely with the times I transferred personal funds to my family. May 12th last year, I murmur. That was when Rebecca called, saying Mom needed emergency dental care. I wired $680 that same afternoon. Jessica clicks open the related charity update, Sophia's urgent neurological consultation. $750, required by tomorrow. My stomach tightens as more evidence appears. Photographs of me alongside a small child. I recognize as Madison, my sister's friend's daughter. In one particularly convincing image, I've been digitally placed beside a hospital bed where a sleeping child lies, surrounded by medical equipment. The total fraudulent amount, Jessica says, scanning the spreadsheet she's compiled, exceeds $43,000 from more than 200 donors. $43,000. 200 people. 2 years of deliberate deception. I need air, I whisper, pushing away from the table. I walk to the window, press my forehead against the cold glass, trying to absorb the scale of my family's actions. What kind of mother steals her daughter's identity to invent a fake grandchild? I ask quietly, gazing at the Seattle skyline. Jessica stays silent, letting me process as the truth rearranges everything I thought I knew. Suddenly, every past emergency makes sense. Rebecca's tuition that never led to a degree, Mom's endless medical bills with no recovery, the car repairs, the constant household crises, each one crafted to demand quick financial help. I recall Mom's careful words during every plea. We hate to ask, but we have nowhere else to turn. The guilt, the subtle pressure, the emotional manipulation. Rebecca's messages echo in my head. Mom's proud of you, but she'd never ask herself. You know how she is? They didn't see me as family, I say, turning back to Jessica. They saw me as their personal bank. The realization solidifies something inside me. The shock and betrayal condense into a cold determination. I have choices they never expected me to make, I add, returning to the table with renewed resolve. Jessica nods knowingly. I've got a friend who can help us make sense of this, a lawyer specializing in identity theft. 2 days later, I'm in Martin Cooper's downtown office, surrounded by our collected evidence. His expression darkens as he studies the documents. Your mother has around $26,000 in gambling debt, he says, referencing the public records he found. Most of it built up over the last 3 years. The words hit like a physical blow. Mom, gambling? She always mocked lottery players for wasting money, and Rebecca is facing eviction, Martin continues. Plus nearly $18,000 in credit card debt and several payday loans. I press my trembling hands flat against my thighs. How did you uncover all this? I ask. Public records, he explains. Court filings, liens, legal notices. Once you know where to look, their financial desperation is clear. He opens another folder. They also tried a similar scam using your cousin Thomas's identity last year, but he caught on fast and threatened legal action. Thomas never mentioned it. Another betrayal to digest later. There's more, Martin adds carefully. Your mother's boyfriend of 3 years left her 6 months ago. His restraining order claims he found financial deceit that made him fear for his safety. The timeline matches exactly with when the fake charity page began. They've lost nearly every legitimate source of income, Martin concludes. Your mother's part-time hospital job is the only thing keeping them afloat, along with whatever they've taken from you and those fraudulent campaigns. He leans forward, eyes grave. Olivia, they're desperate enough to risk federal charges. That's how severe their financial problems have become. I nod slowly, trying to take it all in. What's our next step? I ask. You have options, Martin replies calmly. But first we should bring Jessica back into this. Her technical skills combined with my legal expertise will give us a solid foundation. That evening, my apartment turns into an impromptu command center. Jessica arrives with her laptop and several external drives. I can trace everything they've done online, she explains, setting up her equipment on my kitchen table. Every post, donation, and update, we'll document it all. Martin spreads a stack of legal documents across my coffee table. We're looking at wire fraud, identity theft, and several federal offenses, he says firmly. The evidence is extensive. Together, we spend hours compiling a detailed timeline. Photos, screenshots, bank statements, and public records soon fill my walls, resembling a crime investigation board from a TV series. We need defined roles, Jessica suggests. Martin handles legal matters, I'll take care of the tech side, and Olivia, you'll oversee intelligence. I stand before the evidence board, absorbing the visual chaos of my fractured family history. The careful organization brings an odd sense of calm, turning heartbreak into actionable purpose. We document everything before taking any action, I say with renewed control. No emotional outbursts. No warnings. We gather proof until the case is irrefutable. Martin and Jessica nod in agreement. At that moment, I realize something has shifted inside me. The daughter who once sought peace at any cost has been replaced by a woman who values truth over convenience. This isn't about revenge, I remind myself as I pin another falsified medical record to the wall. It's about justice, for me, and for the 200 people who gave generously to a child who never existed. My hands tremble slightly as I type the name Margaret Wilson into the donor form. Jessica leans in beside me, her calm presence steadying mine. Remember, we're building a documented pattern, she whispers. Every small detail counts. I nod, inhale deeply, and transfer $500 to my mother's fraudulent charity. The payment becomes undeniable proof of their ongoing scheme. The screen flashes. Thank you for supporting Sophia's recovery journey. Sophia, my imaginary daughter. 2 days later, Jessica points to her laptop screen as we sit surrounded by files, color-coded folders, and timelines covering the living room. See this? She says. These updates reference hospital stays in March, June, and August. She highlights the text. But according to your schedule, you were at a conference in Chicago during March. They're getting careless, I mutter, scanning the fabricated details. They said I was at Children's Hospital that week, but I was actually speaking at a compliance seminar. Right on cue, a thank you email arrives, just as Jessica predicted. It praises Sophia's bravery during her recent physical therapy session and includes a photo that makes me freeze. That's from my appendectomy, I whisper, staring at the edited image. My face, taken from when I was hospitalized 2 years ago, has been digitally altered to look like I'm beside a sick child's bed. They must have accessed it when Mom helped organize my photos last Christmas, I say quietly. They've also announced a major fundraiser for next week, Jessica points out, gesturing to the charity's banner. Goal, $25,000 for spinal surgery. From his office chair, Martin reviews our mounting file with measured satisfaction. This is exactly what prosecutors need, a clear, deliberate pattern of fraud. And your test donation proves intent beyond question. The vibration of my phone interrupts us. Mom's smiling face fills the screen, and for the first time in weeks, I don't hesitate before answering. Olivia, sweetheart. Her voice carries that old comforting tone that once meant home and safety. We need to discuss a special family announcement. My heartbeat quickens, though my tone stays composed. Sure. Mom, tell me about my child, the one you've been raising. The silence that follows stretches so long I almost think the call has dropped. When she finally speaks, her voice sounds rehearsed, a performance I've heard countless times without realizing. We only wanted to protect you from stress, she says softly. Your career was taking off and we didn't want to burden you. Put Rebecca on the line, I interrupt, surprising myself with how firm I sound. I know she's with you. There's a shuffle, then my sister's voice, sharp and defensive. You wouldn't have agreed, but we needed help. Madison's medical bills kept piling up. And Madison isn't my daughter. I reply slowly, each word deliberate. She's your friend's child. You've been using my identity for fraud. It wasn't like that, Rebecca protests. We were just trying to... I've documented everything. I cut in, voice steady though fury burns inside me. Every fundraiser, every altered photo, every dollar you took. You have 24 hours to delete the page and return the money. Olivia, Mom pleads, her voice trembling in a way I've never heard. You don't know what you're doing to this family. The word family ignites something deep within me. Family doesn't steal identities, Mom. Family doesn't lie for years. You made your decision. Once they agree to remove the page, I end the call and collapse onto the sofa. Martin and Jessica exchange knowing glances. You gave them a chance to reduce the damage, Martin says, closing his legal pad. That was both legally sound and morally fair. Jessica keeps typing. I've archived the final version of the charity page. They can't erase the evidence. I glance at my hands. Steady now. Despite everything. I've never spoken to my mother like that before. That evening, the three of us meet at O'Malley's pub, a spontaneous dinner that feels both premature and necessary. The heaviness in my chest has eased just enough for me to eat for the first time in days. To setting boundaries, Jessica says, raising her glass of amber ale. To accountability, Martin adds, clinking his water against ours. My phone pings, an email. Notification. A donor named Lawrence Greenberg is asking why the charity page suddenly vanished when his church group had planned to donate for Sophia's surgery fund. He says they already gave through. Give hope last month, I read aloud. My brief relief vanishing, and his friend donated through CareChain. Multiple platforms, Jessica whispers. Realization dawning, we exchange glances, the implication clear. This wasn't a single page. It was an operation. I set my fork down, appetite gone. The small victory I'd felt evaporates as I scroll through my phone, searching for these other sites. Taking down one page was never going to be enough. This has to end completely, I say, meeting Martin's focused gaze. He nods, pulling out his phone to jot notes. We'll need a full strategy. This is larger than we imagined, Jessica squeezes my shoulder. We've got this, Olivia. One step at a time, I look at them, my unexpected allies. A coworker and a friend's brother standing beside me against my own family. The irony doesn't escape me. One step at a time, I repeat, lifting my glass of water. It's cool and solid, something real to hold on to when everything else feels built on lies. 2 days later, after gathering more evidence, Martin's office transforms into our war room. By 9 a.m., the whiteboard that once displayed quarterly goals now outlines a tangled web of fraudulent platforms. 8 separate websites, I say steadily, adding another pin to the board, each earning about $850 a month. Jessica looks up from her laptop, pushing a strand of hair behind her ear. That's just what we've tracked. There might be more, I nod, studying the color-coded timeline. 2 years of calculated deception mapped out in dry erase ink. Platform names, donations, fabricated medical stories. The scale would almost be impressive, if it weren't so devastating. You're managing this better than most would, Martin says, his tie loosened, sleeves rolled up. He hands me another stack of printouts, each one representing someone who believed they were helping my imaginary child. I glance at the papers, my voice low but certain. I can't think of them as family, not while we're doing this. I sort the papers by date, keeping my focus steady. If I let emotion take over, everything could fall apart. We need to stay precise. My words sound detached, almost mechanical, but they have to be. Each time emotion rises, I channel it into organization, logging evidence by category, date, and severity. The FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center needs to be involved, Martin says, tapping his pen on the legal pad where he's outlined our plan. This case crosses state lines. Wire fraud, identity theft. It falls under federal jurisdiction. Jessica glances up from her laptop. I've installed monitoring software across all the charity accounts, she says. We'll know immediately if they make any edits. Her fingers move swiftly over the keyboard, entering donor data into a system she built overnight. Names, amounts, dates, platforms, each record representing someone deceived by my own family. We need a full picture of their operation, I say, stepping back to review what we've gathered. The shift feels real, from the woman who broke down in her kitchen 3 days ago to someone now capable of dismantling her mother's criminal network. Time blurs as we continue. Jessica documents Diana and Rebecca's online activities through their public posts. Martin compiles a draft file for federal agents emphasizing patterns that show clear intent. The timeline is our strongest evidence, he notes, tracing the data. Your sister requested $600 for dental. Work the same week they ran a $5,000 fundraiser for your supposed daughter's surgery. I complete my 23-page statement, years of financial manipulation laid bare. The words come easily now, as though they'd been waiting to be written. Jessica lets out a small cheer. The payment processor's fraud department is cooperating. They're preserving all transaction data. We continue working in silence. Diana and Rebecca believe they've solved everything by deleting one page. Their ignorance works in our favor. You're handling this like a pro, Martin observes during lunch. I'm compliance trained, I remind him. Just never thought I'd use it against my own mother. By evening, Jessica's phone buzzes. Her expression tightens. They're getting nervous. Rebecca just searched how to permanently erase fundraising records from her home IP. Good, Martin replies. Let them panic. At 5:30, the office door swings open. My mother stands there, her pearl earrings glinting under fluorescent light. Olivia, she begins softly, voice wrapped in concern. We need to talk, as a family. Her timing is intentional, a public setting where I must stay composed while the evidence sits exposed back home. Martin subtly shifts, blocking her view of the whiteboard. This isn't a good time, Mom, I say evenly, though my pulse races. Diana's eyes glisten, perfectly on cue. Martin's colleagues glance up, sympathy forming for the fragile-looking woman. Your sister could lose everything if you continue this. Misunderstanding, she says, her tone cracking just enough. Her job, her apartment, when this becomes public. I notice her positioning, ensuring maximum visibility from the hallway, witnesses to her performance. There are things about our family I've protected you from, she adds, lowering her voice. Things that would be painful for everyone if they came out. The veiled threat lingers. A sudden clarity hits me, the same tactic she's always used. Create fear, suggest consequences, demand obedience. I need to finish here, I reply calmly. We'll talk another time. Something flashes in her eyes. Frustration, maybe fear. She's not used to this version of her daughter, the one who won't yield. After she leaves, Jessica touches my arm. You okay? I realign the papers on Martin's desk, every motion deliberate. They're still trying to manipulate me, I say quietly. But I see it now. Martin returns from walking Diana out. That visit told us something, he says. I nod, a strange calm washing over me. Their desperation proves we're right. The next morning, the FBI field office smells of coffee and printer toner. Agent Wilson spreads our evidence across the conference table while Martin organizes color-coded folders beside him. The fluorescent lights cast sharp shadows beneath everyone's eyes, underscoring the seriousness of our work. We've accepted your case referral, Ms. Hill, Agent Wilson says, his deep voice calm and steady. He's older than I expected. Gray hair streaking through the black, reading glasses resting low on his nose. The evidence reveals consistent signs of wire fraud, identity theft, and possible HIPAA breaches. My stomach tightens as he examines the photos of my daughter, images of Madison with my face digitally placed over hers. The manipulation is obvious now that I recognize it, yet convincing enough to mislead acquaintances and strangers. All evidence has been carefully gathered and archived, Jessica says, placing a thumb drive on the table. 7 donors identified. Everything includes verification records, timestamps, IP logs, platform data. Martin nods in approval. Legal hold letters are ready for all 8 fundraising sites. We'll serve them simultaneously to prevent data deletion. I slide my notarized affidavit forward. My vision blurring slightly, I, Olivia Hill, have never given birth to or adopted any children. A simple statement, yet somehow it needs legal affirmation. This is one of the most complete case files I've seen from a civilian complainant, Agent Wilson remarks, flipping through my statement, but we need to proceed swiftly and carefully. Once we act, they'll realize it immediately. What should I say when this becomes public? I ask, my voice smaller than intended. The truth, he replies. Keep it composed and factual. Something like, my identity was stolen for fraudulent purposes. The matter is under investigation. Thank you for your understanding during this difficult time. I repeat the words silently, practicing for questions from coworkers, neighbors, and acquaintances. The weight of what's ahead settles heavily on my shoulders. My phone vibrates on the table. Before I can reach it, Jessica glances down. It's from Rebecca, she says quietly. I turn the screen toward me. My sister's. Latest video plays without sound. Tears run down her face as she gestures toward medical charts I can't read from here. The fundraiser bar at the bottom reads, Goal, $130,000. Emergency surgery in 48 hours. I read the line aloud, the words bitter in my mouth. Jessica grabs my phone, typing rapidly. These are actual hospital records. See the letterhead? Martin leans forward. How did they get legitimate documents with your name? Diana works in hospital administration, I reply, the realization hitting. She has access, Agent Wilson's expression hardens. That adds another major HIPAA violation. Jessica's laptop dings with a new alert. They're searching you, Olivia. Rebecca just looked up. How to tell if someone is gathering evidence against you? She turns the screen for everyone to see. They know we're building a case. My throat tightens as the donation counter rises $2,250. $3,200. $4,075 real people sending real money for a surgery that doesn't exist. Every day we wait, more victims lose money, I whisper. Agent Wilson shakes his head. We need to catch them withdrawing those funds. That evidence will solidify the case. Patience now ensures justice later. The next morning, we meet again with renewed focus. Jessica has set alerts for every transaction linked to the donation. Accounts. Martin confirms his legal team is on standby with emergency injunctions, surveillance. Authorization came through overnight, Agent Wilson announces, sliding a document across the table. We're monitoring Diana and Rebecca's accounts for any withdrawal activity. I trace my finger over the embossed FBI letterhead, feeling its texture. All data is secured in multiple locations. Full chain of custody verified, Jessica confirms. Even if they manage to access one set, we have backups. Agent Wilson glances at his watch. We move tomorrow morning. Everything is ready, tomorrow. The word settles in my chest like a stone. For years, I've sent money to help my family through one crisis after another. But tomorrow, I'll help create a crisis they never saw coming. After tomorrow, nothing will ever be the same, I say quietly. Martin rests a reassuring hand on my shoulder. You're doing the right thing, Olivia. This isn't about revenge, it's about justice. For you, and for the many others they've deceived. I nod as a strange calm washes over me. The fear lingers, but beneath it flows something stronger. A steady current of resolve that's been building since that first shocking message. Tomorrow, their false narrative ends. Tomorrow, the truth begins. The next morning, my phone buzzes on the kitchen counter. Agent Wilson's name flashes on the screen. I answer with steady hands. A sharp contrast to the trembling ones that once struggled to hold this same phone when everything began. Olivia, we have a problem, he says. Diana and Rebecca withdrew $18,700 from the donation account early this morning. We couldn't intercept it in time. The calm I've tried to maintain these past weeks threatens to break. How could that happen? I thought we had monitoring in place. They acted faster than expected, he replies, his tone edged with frustration. They used an emergency withdrawal clause. But this gives us something solid. Wire transfer records proving they accessed fraudulent funds. I sink into the same kitchen chair where I first learned of their betrayal. What's our next step? I ask before Wilson can respond. My laptop pings, Jessica's alert system, new activity on the fundraising platforms. My stomach drops as I open the notification. Rebecca's tear-streaked face fills the screen. Her voice trembles as she speaks directly to the camera, We need your support now more than ever. Our daughter, Sophia's mother, my sister, is suffering from a severe mental health crisis. She's denying her own child exists. A surge of anger and nausea rises as the video continues. On screen appears a hospital document, my name at the top, claiming a diagnosis of delusional disorder with paranoid features. She's escalating. I whisper, mostly to myself. Taking it to another level. Stay on the line, Wilson says. I'm looping Martin in. While we wait, I scroll through the comments beneath the video. Dozens of supporters send prayers condemning the unstable mother who abandoned her child. A local church even plans a prayer vigil for tomorrow. Martin joins the call, his tone tight with controlled anger. I just saw their new fundraiser. Legal protection from an unstable mother. They're collecting donations to fight you directly, Wilson adds. Diana called your employer this morning. Claimed you're having a psychotic break. My stomach turns cold. My job. HR referred her to legal, Martin cuts in. I've already spoken with them. They're aware of the investigation. I close my eyes and picture the community members gathering at that vigil, whispering, poor little Sophia. How could a mother deny her own child? Wilson continues. She called me after that and said, and I quote, if you pursue this, everyone will believe you abandoned your sick child. My hands clench into fists. This cruelty shouldn't surprise me anymore, yet it still does. They're desperate, Martin says. That's good for our case, even if it feels awful right now. I stare at Rebecca's performance, the perfect balance of sadness and resolve. My sister, the actress I never knew existed. We need to move now, I say, my voice steady, before they destroy what's left of my reputation. Understood, Wilson replies. I'm expediting the arrest warrants. The wire transfer evidence is enough. Later that morning, they arrive at my apartment. The living room has turned into a war room. Evidence boards line the walls. Timelines cover the dining table, and in the corner, Jessica's laptop hums as she compiles the final evidence package. I've filed the emergency injunctions across all platforms. Martin reports, papers rustling in the background. We should have them offline within hours. Jessica glances up from her computer. I've prepared the complete technical dossier for media outlets, everything verified and authenticated. They won't be able to contest a single detail. I slide a thick envelope toward Wilson, my notarized medical records, clearly proving I've never given birth or undergone any procedure connected to pregnancy or childbirth. The coordinated system we built begins to move like a well-oiled machine. 3 months ago, I was a woman trapped by family loyalty. Now I'm managing a response that feels almost tactical in its accuracy. Diana accessed those medical records through her hospital job. Jessica confirms, pointing to the evidence on her screen. HR just verified the unauthorized access. My phone buzzes, a notification from the payment processor. Funds frozen, I announced to the group. $41,235 secured. The sudden silence carries weight. For the first time, I fully understand how much I've changed. The woman who once sent money without hesitation whenever her family asked now dismantles their fraud network step by step. Despite the personal toll, federal prosecutors have taken the case. Wilson reports, ending a call. Warrants are being issued for wire fraud, identity theft, and falsifying medical records. Jessica's laptop chimes repeatedly. Rebecca's trying to delete accounts, she says, typing rapidly. Too late. Everything's archived. My phone rings. Diana's smiling face appears for the first time in weeks. I answer on speaker. Livy, her voice trembles with practiced emotion, you're destroying this family. Please stop before it's too late. It was too late when you stole my identity, I reply, surprised by the calm in my voice. It was too late the first time you lied using my name. We're family, she whispers. Family protects family. The question that once would have broken me now reinforces my resolve. That's exactly what I'm doing, protecting myself from you. I end the call just as Wilson receives a text. Channel 4. News is investigating. They got our evidence package. There's no stopping it now, Wilson says, gathering his papers. The raid's set for 7 a.m. tomorrow. After everyone leaves, I sit alone in my apartment, surrounded by proof of betrayal. On my coffee table lies a photo album I haven't opened in years. Family pictures from before the deceit. Diana teaching me to ride a bike. Rebecca and I building sandcastles on the beach. A soft knock breaks the silence. Jessica's back. Thought you might want company, she says, holding a bag of takeout. Tomorrow changes everything. We eat quietly until Martin calls with final instructions. Remember, he says gently, you didn't cause this. You're just ending it. I stare out at the darkening sky, tension rising like a storm on the horizon. Tomorrow, the world learns the truth. Tomorrow, justice replaces blind loyalty. Tomorrow, I reclaim my name. But tonight I sit in the calm center of the chaos, oddly peaceful as I await the inevitable dawn. The next morning, federal agents surround Diana's Craftsman-style home at 6:13 a.m. From Agent Wilson's unmarked sedan, I watch, my stomach tight with anticipation. Morning light glints off badges as officers secure every exit. You don't have to see this, Wilson says softly. We can wait at the field office. I need to, I answer, my voice steady and sure. After everything that's happened, I need to know this is real. The raid unfolds with precise coordination. Diana appears in her floral bathrobe, confusion quickly turning to outrage as an agent reads her rights. When the handcuffs snap around her wrists, something inside me gives way. Months of betrayal and anger finally breaking through. This is a mistake, Diana yells, her voice echoing across the neighborhood. Curious faces appear in windows and doorways. My daughter looks lost. Olivia doesn't understand what's happening. Even now, Diana performs, shaping a version of events where I'm the villain. My fingers press into my palms until they ache. Agent Wilson's radio crackles. Second location secure. Suspect tried deleting data from several devices. Rebecca, I whisper. The technical mind behind their scheme caught in the act. A news van arrives. Someone clearly tipped them off. A reporter rushes forward, microphone in hand, as the cameraman films Diana being led to a government SUV. Please, Diana sobs into the camera, her face a study in maternal grief. This is all a misunderstanding. I was only helping my granddaughter. My poor Olivia is having another episode. My throat tightens. Even under arrest, she manipulates, sowing doubt about my sanity. The careful composure I've maintained for months starts to slip. She's good, Agent Wilson notes quietly. She's been doing this a long time, hasn't she? My whole life, I reply, the words rough in my mouth. Later that morning, I sit in a conference room at the FBI field office, watching the preliminary hearing on a secure video feed. Months of gathered evidence play out with devastating clarity. Forged medical records bearing Diana's prints, Rebecca's IP addresses tied to fake websites, and bank statements revealing systematic theft. Rebecca enters the courtroom first, shoulders low. When she sees the prosecutor's table stacked with financial reports and screenshots, her composure cracks. It was Mom's idea, she blurts before her lawyer can stop her. I only handled the computer work. She said Olivia would never find out. The judge, a stern woman with silver hair, peers at Rebecca over her glasses. Ms. Hill, please refrain from speaking until addressed by the court. Then Diana enters, dressed conservatively, minimal makeup, hair in a tight bun, the image of a grieving grandmother perfected. But when she spots me through the feed, her expression hardens for an instant. Hatred flashes before she masks it with feigned innocence. Your Honor, the prosecutor begins, the evidence here represents one of the most deliberate fraud schemes I've encountered in 15 years. These defendants exploited a family member's identity to fabricate an elaborate story about a disabled child who never existed. The judge studies the evidence summary, her expression turning grim. The level of planning is extraordinary. Multiple online platforms, falsified medical documents, edited photos, all using the identity of the defendant's own daughter and sister. When the hearing ends, the judge denies bail for both Diana and Rebecca, citing flight risk and attempts to destroy records. As officers move to escort them out, Diana turns toward the camera she believes I'm behind. How could you do this to your own mother? She calls out, her voice breaking at the perfect moment. A month's worth of rehearsed composure abandons me. But as I meet her gaze through the screen, something inside me realigns. I've been asking myself the same question about you for months, I answer, knowing she can hear me. In that instant, the power dynamic between us shifts completely. For the first time, I'm free of the shame she always made me carry. Outside the courthouse, I'm surprised to see Pastor Matthews waiting, his usual confidence replaced by quiet remorse. "Olivia," he begins, removing his glasses. "The prayer vigil we held. I should have confirmed the truth before taking sides. Many of us owe you an apology. Throughout the day, more people approach. The bank teller who processed donations, the teacher who ran a fundraiser, the cafe owner who placed donation jars. Each apology reinforces what Agent Wilson told me earlier. Without your precise documentation, this case could never have been proven." 3 days later, Rebecca agrees to a plea deal in exchange for testifying against Diana. Her sworn statement confirms everything from the creation of the fake charity page to the calculated escalation of false medical claims. Local news coverage shifts rapidly. Headlines evolve from "family dispute turns legal" to sophisticated "fraud ring exploited community compassion." Diana's hospital terminates her employment after confirming she accessed confidential records to produce fraudulent medical documents. The court freezes all personal assets linked to the scheme. My lawyer, Martin, guides me through the financial recovery process, while Jessica continues working to restore my digital identity, removing every trace of the fabricated story from search results and social platforms. The judge needs your victim impact statement tomorrow. Martin reminds me as we leave the courthouse. Take your time with it. This is your chance to be heard. That night, I sit at my kitchen table, the same place where I first uncovered the fraud, and write from a place deeper than anger or loss. It isn't about the money. It's about something far greater. When I stand before the judge the next morning, Diana and Rebecca seated at the defense table. My voice carries across the courtroom. "They didn't just steal money," I begin, the paper with my prepared statement untouched in my hands. "They stole trust. They turned the most sacred bond in human life, family, into a weapon for exploitation. They taught me that those meant to protect you can sometimes cause the most harm." The judge listens attentively. "But they also taught me something they never meant to," I continue. "Family isn't defined by blood or shared past. It's built on honesty, respect, and mutual support. I found that family in those who helped me stop this fraud, in my co-worker who stayed up preserving evidence, in my friend who guided me through the legal maze, in Agent Wilson, who believed in me when I barely could myself." Diana keeps her eyes fixed on the table, refusing to look up. A week later, we return for the final sentencing. The courtroom is full. Victims, community members, media, all gathered to see justice delivered. The evidence is overwhelming, and both Diana and Rebecca have entered guilty. Pleased to avoid trial, the court determines that they defrauded 237 individuals of a total of $168,732. Over 3 years, the judge declares, Diana Hill is sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Rebecca Hill is sentenced to 3 years. Full restitution to all identified victims is ordered, along with reimbursement for my legal expenses. The judge also issues permanent restraining orders, barring either of them from contacting me directly or indirectly after their release. Afterward, Agent Wilson approaches me. "We're using your case as a precedent for family identity fraud prosecutions," he explains. "You've set a standard for others to follow." Throughout the day, victims approach to thank me. Elderly couples who lost retirement savings, parents who gave up college funds, community groups who raised money in good faith. Their gratitude feels both humbling and healing. Martin helps me establish a victim restitution fund from the seized assets, while Jessica works to erase the last remnants of the false story online. As we exit the courthouse, reporters gather on the steps. The same camera that once filmed Diana's performance now turns toward me. "How does it feel to see justice served?" A reporter asks. I pause, choosing my words carefully. "Family is built on truth and trust," I reply. "When those are gone, all that's left is DNA." For the first time in months, the weight on my chest begins to lift as I walk down the courthouse steps. The sunlight feels warmer on my face than it has in a long time. A week later, morning light filters through my kitchen window, spreading across the newspaper on my counter. My own face looks back at me beneath the headline, "Daughter Exposes Family Fraud Ring." The reporter captured not triumph, but quiet dignity. Exactly what I'd hoped for. "They did a great job with the interview," Jessica says, settling onto a bar stool with her coffee. She's been staying over since the sentencing, her presence a calm I didn't know I needed after so much turmoil. Agent Wilson called this morning, I tell her, folding the paper. Diana and Rebecca arrived at their respective facilities yesterday. Different states, different security levels. Jessica nods, sensing the emotion behind my steady tone. How does that feel? She asks. I pause, searching through layers of feeling until I find the truth. For the first time in months, I say softly. I slept through the night, my phone buzzes. With an email notification, my boss has approved extra paid leave and agreed to cover therapy sessions through our employee assistance program. The message ends with a short line that unexpectedly brings tears to my eyes. Take the time you need. Later that afternoon, my cousin Michelle calls. We haven't spoken since the story made national news. I should have noticed, she says, her voice heavy with regret. All those times Aunt Diana showed your photos with Madison at family gatherings, calling her your daughter. I never questioned it. Throughout the week, other relatives reach out, some apologetic, others still defending Diana despite all the proof. Each conversation feels like sorting through emotional wreckage after a storm, choosing what to keep and what to leave behind. Martin stops by with paperwork confirming that all fraudulent medical records have been erased from the health system. We're making sure none of this follows you, he says, his usual legal tone softened by genuine concern. On Friday, Agent Wilson presents me with a small plaque, an FBI Citizen Cooperation Commendation. Your case is now a model for family fraud investigations, he explains. What you did took remarkable courage. I placed the plaque on my bookshelf, not as an award, but as a reminder of the distance I've traveled. 6 months later, I stand behind a podium facing 200 compliance professionals at the Northwest Financial Fraud Prevention Conference. My hands no longer shake when I speak. My voice reaches the back of the room, clear and steady. Family fraud succeeds because we're taught to protect those who harm us, I explain, making eye contact with the audience. We often confuse loyalty with love and obligation with connection. The contrast from my past self feels almost physical. The woman who once collapsed in her kitchen, unable to comprehend betrayal, now calmly answers questions about setting boundaries and identifying manipulation. My promotion to the compliance team brought both a raise and a new sense of purpose. My apartment in Belltown overlooks Elliott Bay, a daily symbol of openness after years of restriction. Once a month, I volunteer at the Children's Hospital, reading to kids during their treatments, helping real families who truly need it. When Jessica asked why I chose this work, I told her the same thing I once shared with my therapist during our monthly check-in. Family is earned, not just given. The relationships I've built since the trial have shown me what genuine connection really feels like. When Agent Wilson invited me to consult with the Fraud Prevention Task Force, I recognized it as the final step, personal pain turning into public purpose. On the 1-year anniversary of Megan's text that started it all, I received a letter from Elaine Peterson in Portland. Her elderly father had been systematically defrauded by his nephew, using tactics similar to Diana's. We met at a quiet cafe the following weekend. Her hands twisted around her coffee cup, reminding me of myself a year earlier. I don't know where to begin, she admits, her voice breaking. The evidence is overwhelming, but he's family. I cover her hand with mine, steady and sure. Let's start by protecting your father, I say, opening my laptop to show her resources and support strategies I've gathered. The difference between my panic then and my calm now feels like watching two completely different people. 2 days later, a letter arrives from the federal correctional facility where Diana is held. Her handwriting, once familiar from birthday cards and permission slips, now feels like it belongs to a stranger. I hope one day you can forgive me, she writes. My reply is short but honest. Forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation. I wish you healing, but our relationship needs boundaries, not bitterness. With Agent Wilson's help, I founded the Family Fraud Education Initiative. 3 local banks soon adopted new verification procedures inspired by my case study. By summer, we had already helped 3 families uncover and prevent fraud before serious financial loss occurred. At the From Victim to Advocate ceremony hosted by the State Attorney General's office, I accepted a community service award with genuine gratitude instead of shame. The family we choose through love and honesty is stronger than the one we're born into, I tell the audience. Trust must be earned, not assumed, and truth, even when painful, builds firmer foundations than comforting lies ever can. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I look at an old family photo, Diana, Rebecca, and me at a lakeside picnic 15 years ago, all smiling while silent tensions hid beneath the surface. I return it to the drawer, not with anger or regret, but with quiet understanding. Sometimes I whisper to the empty room, the greatest act of love is letting go of those who can't love you honestly. What would you do if you discovered your family had been using your identity this way? Share your thoughts in the comments below.